In memory of her, Jesus said, speaking of me, but perhaps you don't remember me at all. After all, my name doesn't appear anywhere. But Jesus knew it. That day in Simon's house, it seemed he knew my whole history. Perhaps he knew me because, well, Jesus listened to and observed so closely the people he met. He knew everyone's name, I would guess. And the strangest thing of all, he especially knew the names of those who were nameless to everyone else. Well, perhaps it's okay that the Holy Scriptures do not record my name. Maybe then you will remember all the women who cared for Jesus throughout his ministry, especially those who ministered to him these past few days in Jerusalem. In these last hours, fear and joy are swirling in our streets. Well, earlier this week, Jesus came to Simon's house. Simon was a leper, well, one that Jesus had healed. When Simon told me that Jesus was coming for a visit, I knew I had to be there. There's no question about it. I had heard the stories. I knew Jesus had included so many people whom the leaders had excluded, restored so many that others had just simply brushed aside. Prostitutes and lepers, beggars and non-believers, sinners of all shapes and sizes. Jesus embraced them all. But that should not be surprising. He, Jesus, is God's loving word, a word fashioned of skin and bone. So to say that I was excited to see him is an understatement. But I was also worried. Let me explain. I was simply paying attention. I saw how the leaders treated him, how they harassed and subverted the message of God's great love. So while the excitement in Jerusalem was building for the coming Passover celebration, I could not totally rejoice. I could only worry. I wondered, how can I help him? Should I simply shout Hosanna like so many others and leave it at that? No, I decided I must do more. These were dangerous days, I felt. So I went to my friends. The lepers who lived on the hillsides in the valleys away from others. My friends, the women who were almost invisible to men, unless, of course, they were particularly beautiful or were plying the prostitute's trade. I spoke to them one by one and was able to raise enough funds to purchase a jar of expensive perfume. This was the gift for Jesus that I finally settled on. So when I arrived at Simon's home to see Jesus, I concealed a small alabaster jar of the richest perfume inside my robes. Jesus' disciples tried to bar me from entering. Their faces were twisted in sneers of self-righteousness. But I had seen those expressions before, and I was not afraid. Simon smiled when I pushed past the disciples and entered his house. He even nodded a welcome. And then quickly, before anyone could stop me, I withdrew the jar, opened it, and poured it on Jesus' head. In other words, I anointed him. Of course, the disciples were not happy. They scorned me and my gift. A pure waste, they fumed. Why not sell it and give the money to the poor, they said. But Jesus would not listen to such talk. She is preparing me for my burial, he said. And it was then I knew why I had chosen this gift. I saw what others could not see. I felt what others could not feel. Jesus saw and felt it all. And now it is Saturday. The day after the darkest day. Jesus is dead and buried, but he has been anointed. He is surrounded not by the odor of death, but by the fragrance of love. Who knows what will happen next? No. Jesus spoke of a resurrection, of living again. But how can this thing happen? The sun is sinking over Jerusalem. The light is becoming dimmer. The day is almost done. How long will this darkness last? And yet, I will remember Jesus' words. Wherever this good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her. I am blessed by his words. But I seek even better news, because you see, my giving and the gift that I gave are not the good news. The good news is something else. It can only be Jesus, the word of love and new life. Now, if Jesus is right, then tomorrow morning, just hours from now, we will see this good news rise in all its glory. And this will be fixed in our memories and emblazoned on our hearts forever. So tonight I pray, oh God, may it be so.